Hey guys, and welcome back to Mental Health Mondays. I really hope you are all well. So in today's video, I thought I would do another little story time. I briefly mentioned in my last video a story to do with the police coming to my house, and a lot of you responded saying you'd be interested to hear it. So I just thought I would do a little video on the police and my mental health, and just talk about police in the mental health world in general. Also, thank you so much for everyone who commented on my last video. If you haven't already seen it, I will link it on the screen now. It's the story about how I got my diagnosis of borderline personality disorder. It's really made me want to do more videos focused specifically on that. Okay, so let's get into the story time. I shall set the scene. This was back when I was 17. I was at college. I was in my first serious relationship with a guy that I really loved. We'd been together for like, I think, a year and a half by this point. In my first year, I'd gone to the doctors for the first time for my mental health. I'd been put on antidepressants and I'd been avoiding therapy because I was too anxious to go and sit down and talk to someone about my problems. So my doctor presented this option to me, which was called iTalk. I just want you guys to be really careful if you do have access to iTalk. I've heard many other really bad stories. So basically you call up and they give you an assessment. Like any appointment with mental health, obviously they've got to get to know you and hear a bit about you before they start deciding the best way to help you. So I called them up. I was super anxious. I was on the phone to them for a good hour or so. They were just asking questions about like how long this has been going on, how I was feeling. And it then got to this one question where I'd explained how I got angry and frustrated a lot of the time because of how I felt. And I remember the woman asking me, how do you take your anger out? And I just said, usually it's on myself. And then explained about the self-harming thing, but I said sometimes I can take it out on the people around me. Meaning, obviously, you know, you can snap sometimes. And she said, okay, so how do you take it out on those close to you? And I just said, usually shouting, and sometimes like if someone annoys me, I'll just be like, oh, shut up, like push them away in that kind of way, or you give them like a playful tap. Anyway, the assessment went on, everything was fine, and I went back to college as normal the next day. I was in the library and I had this email pop up. It was from my dad. I don't know why he'd emailed me. I think he'd tried to call me, but he couldn't get hold of me, so he was like looking for other ways to get in contact with me, and said, you need to come home. And I was like, what? And he was like, I don't want to alarm you, but the police are here. And at this point, I was just like, oh my God. I was like trying to scan through my brain as to what's happened and what I could have possibly done to warrant the police coming over. Like, there was no specific like incident that stuck in my head because I'm not the type of person who has ever been involved in the police before. I literally went home straight away. My college was literally 5 minutes down the road from me. And I had these two police officers sat in my dad's office. So I was thinking, oh my God, why the hell are these police officers here? And they just said, well, I think you know why we're here. And I was thinking, I really don't know why you're here. And then they started to explain that they'd had a call from iTalk. And iTalk had flagged a concern that I was domestically abusing my boyfriend at the time. So from this one sentence that I had told this woman in confidentiality, let me just say that I had told her pretty much my whole life story in confidentiality. She had then gone and rang the police, and the police had come around my house because apparently they were concerned for my boyfriend's welfare. Now, I'm a very honest and open person, and if I had made a mistake and I had hit someone or hurt someone badly, I would tell you guys. But I am telling you, I was not domestically abusing my boyfriend. This was literally the most ridiculous, taking out of context thing ever. Obviously, I understand they have to follow protocol in these situations, but the fact that this woman had betrayed my trust, and also the accusation, just literally made me so angry and upset. So I then explained to them that my boyfriend was 6 foot muscly guy. Even if I had hit him, I would not be able to hurt him, and I certainly wasn't abusing him in any other way. I explained to them what I was trying to say to the I Talk people, that sometimes you get frustrated to those close to you, and they understood this, and immediately they kind of realised, like, okay, I Talk have got it really wrong, but they obviously had to follow protocol because, you know, in case something was actually going on. They ended up having to phone my boyfriend, so I was so reluctant. They were like, give us his number and his address, and I was like, please don't go around his house. I don't even know if they went round his house or not. I think they just called him up. I remember the police leaving, and that was just the point where I hadn't even started seeing a medical professional in the mental health world, and I was already done with them. I was just like, how can someone betray my trust like this? And me and my dad ended up having a huge conversation because he literally had no idea that I was on antidepressants at this point. My mum did know. So me and my dad were just talking, and he basically said that all psychiatrists are rubbish. That was the gist of my conversation. He just said, so many psychiatrists think they know everything, but they really don't, which is true for a lot of psychiatrists. However, there are a percentage who are very good. But obviously I was so new to this world at this point, I literally took my dad's word as Bible, and I said to him, do you know what? I'm not going to go any further with this therapy thing, and I'm not going to go any further with this medication thing. And that day I made the decision to come off my medication. I think it was actually something that my mum said to me. My mum was just like, why are you even on antidepressants? So that kind of just made me like, yeah, fine, like I'm not going to take these tablets anymore. And just as an FYI, do not ever go cold turkey on any medication, no matter what dose it is. Just please don't do it, because the months that followed after that are the worst months of my life. So as soon as I took myself off medication, I went downhill. And yeah, that kind of ended up being the beginning of my relationship with the police where I live. So there was one woman, let's call her S, who came round that day, who I then ended up seeing, and who came to my house on multiple occasions. When I was really ill, I would run away a lot. I would run away and hide, and they actually always found me, surprise, surprise. But yeah, I would just want to get out of my house, so I was able to hurt myself. There was just multiple instances of self-harm, and me being just, you know, really ill in the moment, aggressive, upset. So me and S actually became really close, because a lot of the time when she would come over, she would sit and have chats with me. She told me about her life. I think like when I was a bit better, when I got out of hospital, we went for coffee together. I actually had quite a good relationship with the police. They were luckily very understanding of me. But you always hear these reports as the police being the ones called when someone is having an episode. And I remember hearing about so many young girls especially being locked up in police cells after an episode or whatever, because they're literally, the hospitals do not have the facilities for this type of thing. And that just absolutely breaks my heart, because obviously if you're going through something like that, you are not a criminal. So if you guys do have any stories about how you've been treated unfairly by the police or whatever, I would love to hear them. You can either put them in the comments below or contact me. Oh yeah, also, so with this whole I Talk thing, my dad actually took this further because of how bad an impact it had on my mental health. So he actually filed a formal complaint against them. This was when I was in a psychiatric unit, and then my dad actually demanded that they give me a formal written apology and also look into my case and just make sure that that doesn't happen again, because it was terrifying for me. I understand to some extent they have to follow protocol, but from what I said, I really don't think you could have got that I was domestically abusing my boyfriend. Anyway, please do let me know if you found this rambling video helpful, and also let me know what kinds of other videos you want me to do for Mental Health Mondays. Please stay strong if you're watching this and you're not in the best of places. I promise you it will get better. And I will see you guys very soon. Goodbye!